Let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
Hi, this is Adolf Vega from 3D or 2D.com, and today this podcast you're going to be hearing is from the Vault. So I recorded podcasts off and on here and there for quite a few years now, and this podcast is actually recorded back when the release of Man of Steel came out. So me and my friend Kristen, we worked together at the time, and she watched my YouTube videos at the time, and she wanted to be part of this before I left. And we couldn't really find a recording studio or anything, so we just did it during a break at work. And it was actually like in the stairwell, so it's kind of an echo there. And I was sick, which is kind of ironic because I'm sick right now. But so here is a review we did of Man of Steel of back then. Obviously now Kristen is my managing engineer and managing editor and music and sound engineer, excuse me, and I'm the editor in chief and director and founder of 3D or 2D.com. So we go back a long way. So before Batman vs Superman releases, I thought this would be a fantastic little nugget of a podcast that you listen to, so that way you get a good sense and scope of what our thoughts of Man of Steel was. Obviously, this is full of spoilers, so we give you full heads up, and usually we don't do spoilers, but I just wanted to do it just for this sake. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this little thing from the vault. And every once in a while, I may find something from the vault that might actually be related to current events and repost it and maybe edit it a little bit. So excuse me if there's some coughing. I tried to clean up the audio as much as I could without really changing it too dramatically. But yeah, so this is just a little bit of a preview before you get to actually listen to it. I hope you enjoy it, and we're definitely going to try to review Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice relatively soon. So thank you for listening, and hope you enjoy the rest of this little spoilery Man of Steel talk from years ago.
Alright, this is ADV 2K169 with...
Anastasia Romanov.
Okay, today we're doing a spoiler-filled Man of Steel review. I don't know when I could post this, so we're just going to spoil everything in the movie. So if you haven't seen it, then you probably shouldn't listen to this. So let's go ahead and go into it.
I like the movie, but I think it's overblown.
Okay, I really like the movie. Alright, that's going to conclude our review.
What? What are you going to talk about
No, but this is the first Superman movie without Lex Luthor, without Kryptonite, without the underwear on the outside, without the curl, and without any kind of nods to Martin Brando. So it's a pretty different Superman based on that aspects, and of course, it's a much more darker, more realistic tone. How did that tone affect you?
I liked Jor-El in this new movie. I thought that Russell Crowe was convincing. And of course, he likes to fight, so he probably enjoyed the fighting scene with Zod.
Yes, I do really like the intro setting where they actually really flesh out Krypton more than they ever have before.
I had a question about their procreation. If it was against Kryptonian law for them to procreate, then how come they had men and women?
Well, they were genetically designed to be one way or another, to have certain abilities and traits to make them whatever. That's what the movie said. That's not actually from comic lore that I know of. So
I didn't really like that addition. I thought it just complicated everything.
Yeah, I can see that. I did like just seeing Krypton and the animal and the dragon thing, it seemed pretty interesting, and you know.
I thought that particular part with the dragon seemed kind of forced.
So most of the first half of the movie is flashbacks to when Clark Kent, a la Kal-El, is growing up. What do you think of those?
Actually, I didn't. I heard some people complaining, saying that they had trouble with the flashbacks, back and forthness, but I thought they were well placed, and I thought that they didn't drag the story down. It wasn't necessary for them to go through the entire story of his childhood. They could just flash back to the parts that were necessary for the movie.
Yeah. What did you think of his father's death in the tornado?
See, I didn't really like that. I think they should have done some other death scene, because I thought the tornado of him getting sucked inside was sort of cheesy, and all I wanted to know is how come he didn't get on his hands and knees and crawl.
I'm sorry, I'm struggling with the cough right now. So it was important for a lesson for Clark to not always save people, but it was a little bit weird because he wanted to save his dog, you know?
Yeah, I went to save his dog, and all he had to, Clark didn't have to, use his superpowers to go running after him at supersonic speed. He could have walked over there at a normal speed and been immune from all the hitting and everything.
Or he could have, maybe used his heat vision and made, something explode in the background, and then everyone would look over there and you run over there and catch him.
He should have just died of a heart attack like he did in the other film.
Yeah.
The tornado thing was cheesy.
I didn't mind it because it was dramatic and it was interesting. It was a new twist. That's a big aspect. There's new twists. Yeah. But I did like the characters for Mom and Pa Kent. Kevin Costner being Pa Kent, and what was her name being Ma Kent.
I can't remember her name, but I actually looked her up. She's a lot younger than she looks in that film.
So, what do you think of Henry Cavill as Clark Kent / Superman / Kal-El?
What do you mean?
The actor.
Oh yeah, I thought he did okay. Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for old-time fans to get off of the Christopher Reeve thing, but all in all, I think he probably did a more convincing job, a more complex job than Superman Returns.
Ben and Roth.
Yeah.
I would have liked a couple of corny one-liners here and there. I don't want it to be like Superman 3, because Superman 3 I thought was really bad because it just went so over the top and cornball factor.
Right, but this film was so somber, and it just had no comic relief. By the end of the movie, I felt exhausted because there was just nothing but just complex, fighting and tearing down buildings that probably could have been cut down like 10 or so minutes of the movie.
So, the last half of the movie is pretty much straight up action, where Zod and Foyora, which is a female lead, which I think is the new version of Ursula. What do you think of her?
I thought she was very pretty and convincing, but I don't think she was Sarah Douglas from the first film.
No, there was a brute in there, but they didn't actually show him or name him. Do you mind that?
No, because I think the brute actually almost went a little too far in the other film, in the original Superman 2.
Okay. So the fight scenes, you mentioned that. Zod, I thought was actually really convincing. Michael Shannon did a new perspective, but still more fleshed out than Terrence Stamp. I really do like Terrence Stamp, though.
I think that the Zod interpretation of this film was the saving grace for me, because it made his story very complex, and near the end of the movie you actually felt compassion for him, because he was just doing what he was trained to do and born to do, and he was just trying to save Krypton like he thought was right.
So the ending of Superman or Man of Steel is that Superman actually snaps his neck and actually kills him. He does feel guilt. It's not uncommon, well, it is uncommon that Superman kills anyone on purpose. So what do you think of that aspect? Did that shock you?
I was wondering if he had ever actually killed anyone before that happened.
Well, technically people say that Superman 2, he just threw them into the pit and then they died and they fell because they lost their powers in Superman 2, Zod, but it wasn't shown on camera. But technically, he did kill them.
And see, we talked about this before. See, the way that the three disappeared in the Superman 2 film, I always thought that he had transported him back into the neutral zone.
Phantom Zone.
Phantom zone, thank you.
So I would have liked them to explain a little bit more of the Phantom Zone because they kind of just gloss it over. They do in all the movies. I mean, it's a little bit more interesting because they talk about a black hole and stuff like that. But
they could have used some of the film time that they were crashing through buildings and knocking them down for the umpteenth time to explain the Phantom Zone.
yeah, maybe just have a scene that where you could see what they're inside. I'm guessing the part it's the scene. Maybe they cut. I don't know. The action at the end, I did really like. Everyone complained that Returns was not action-packed enough, so I understand this. I do think they went a little bit overboard because I think, in a way, it puts them in a spot where if they try to put anyone else, like Doomsday or any other thing, you kind of want it to be bigger and better than it was before, So it's a weird kind of box they put themselves into because they pretty much destroyed Metropolis.
Right. I like the uniform. I know a lot of people complained about the uniform, but I think once Zod stripped down to his, it became very evident that it was a tactical wear from the planet Krypton, and he didn't need his red underwear at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really miss it. I'm kind of curious what it would look like with it, but I don't care. I thought I would, but I really don't care. It's something with the little curl in his hair. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect him,
No, I think with this new film, everything came together, as far as the uniform and the hairstyle and everything.
I do think it sets up perfectly for Lex, because you could easily see Lex do a speech and say, look at the destruction this alien has done, and he must be stopped. He's a menace. He may have saved the world, but, yada, yada, yada. It's so easy for Lex to say, and you could say legitimately, it cost me billions of dollars to rebuild Metropolis, to all my staff that lost because of this alien. You could easily have that excuse to make Lex in the next movie. He doesn't have to, but I think it easily fits.
And all the buildings that fell down, surely somebody was killed. Surely hundreds of people were killed.
But compared to the billions of people he saved by saving the Earth from the terraforming machines and the billions of other animal creatures that were not killed.
Yeah, but politics never works that way.
So,
Maybe
yeah.
the next movie will do Lex.
Maybe Lex, maybe Brainiac, something different. Lex makes sense, it's fine. But Brainiac would be cool because it's different. Maybe Metallo or Parasite make it a little bit interesting,
Bizarro.
Maybe Lex and Bizarro, because a lot of stories where Lex makes Bizarro, But it's just different ideas. I mean, I really enjoyed it overall. I thought they could have explained a little bit more whenever he found his ship, and it just kind of, how did he know to go there? They easily could have been explained a little bit better.
I wondered about that too, because he just pops up there.
They could have said, maybe the army, beamed something out there, and then it made another noise, and there was only a noise that Krypton could listen to. That easily could have been explained in 30 seconds and be like, oh, okay.
And I was curious why the robot injured Lois Lane, and when Superman destroyed that defense droid, I wondered whether it was even his Fortress of Solitude or not.
Yeah, that's one thing too, that there really wasn't a Fortress of Solitude proper. So I don't know if they're going to establish that for the next one or what exactly, but it's fine for me. It doesn't have to be crystals like it has always been. They could try to do things differently. At the very end, they do have a scene with Clark being the reporter. What did you think of that? It was a little bit corny, but I did like it.
I didn't think it was corny at all, because I actually appreciated that Lois Lane instantly recognized him and kept quiet about it. This stops all of the hoopla that his glasses somehow would mask his identity to those who were really close to him.
Yeah, and they could probably, play it up like they have in the comics. And it's like, oh yeah, a lot of people tell me I look like him, and then they could act more of a goofball to make it, oh, it's not really Clark, it just looks like Clark.
Right, and the fact that in the second film and the first films that Lois was ever fooled by those glasses, I always thought was just something straight out of a comic book and didn't play very well in the movie.
Okay, so final thoughts. Overall, what would you give it as a score? 1 to 10, no decimals. I don't like decimals.
I thought I was at liberty to do these things. At least I'm not always giving everything a 10. Okay, I thought the movie was a little bit long. One of my friends that I was with that saw this movie actually fell asleep in the last 20 minutes. I think that it had too much action and not enough explanation, and I'm going to give it a 7. it's worth watching though.
Okay. I'll be a little bit more favorable because, to be bluntly honest, I am a fanboy, and to be critical, I did think I've had some critical aspects of this movie, but I still really enjoyed it. I do like the flashbacks a lot. It had a character, it had soul to it, and the action I thought was a lot of fun. Over the top, but that's what I wanted. So I would probably give this a 9 out of 10. So yeah, I really liked it.
Maybe an 8, but I guess that's the average.
Anyways, that's it for us. I had a lot of fun doing this. I don't know when I get to post it. I'm moving and doing a lot of things. So I hope everyone on the internet enjoys this review. And, please comment below.
See you later. Thanks for listening.
Okay, so that's going to conclude this podcast.
Remember to rate this podcast on iTunes and on Stitcher Radio.
Also, remember to follow 3dor2d.com on Facebook and Twitter.
Please comment on the website and subscribe to us on YouTube.
Finally, I want to remind you to please donate on the webpage 3dor2d.com/donate. And I want to thank you for listening and hope you enjoyed the show. Goodbye.
Bye.